Welcome to our deep dive into Fuel for the Race by Kwaku Mamfi.
Yeah.
This book is all about running the race of life, but not with your typical energy drinks.
Precisely.
We're talking about the kind of spiritual fuel that gets you through challenges and helps you reach your full potential.
Yeah.
Given your interest in personal growth and spirituality, I think there's a lot here that will resonate with you.
Absolutely. I think Mamfi does a really good job
Yeah.
of taking this ancient wisdom, from the Bible
Right.
and making it feel so relevant,
Yeah.
to our modern lives. Like he
Yeah.
really digs into
Totally.
those everyday struggles we all face,
Mm-hmm.
things like anger and finding courage and keeping your faith strong when things get tough.
Okay, so the core idea here is this fuel for the race analogy.
Right.
Life is like a race, and we need the right kind of fuel to cross the finish line.
Yeah.
But what exactly is this spiritual fuel?
Right.
It feels a bit abstract, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're right. It's not like filling up your car with gas.
Right.
Think of it more like choosing the right food to fuel your body.
Yeah.
You wouldn't eat a giant donut before running a marathon, right?
Yeah.
Mamfi argues that we need to be just as discerning about what we feed our spirits.
So negative emotions, bad habits, maybe even spending your time on things that don't matter.
Right.
Those are like junk food for the soul.
Yeah.
They might give you a temporary boost, but ultimately they leave you feeling drained and off course.
Exactly. And just like an athlete
Yeah.
trains their body, this book guides you in training your spirit.
Okay.
It's about recognizing those unhelpful thought patterns
Yeah.
and actively choosing, more empowering sources of fuel.
So instead of,
For example, instead of stewing in anger,
oh, yeah.
the book suggests channeling that energy into positive action or finding healthy outlets to release it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not about suppressing emotions, but transforming them.
Right.
Speaking of anger, that was one section that really jumped out at me.
Yeah.
Mamfi tells the story of Cain and Abel,
Right.
which, even if you're not a Bible scholar, you've probably heard of.
Yeah.
Jealousy and rage leading to a brother killing his own brother.
Right. It's a stark reminder of the destructive power of uncontrolled anger.
Right.
But what's interesting is that Mamfi doesn't just say anger is bad.
Yeah.
He actually argues that it can be a powerful motivator if you learn to harness it correctly.
That's a new perspective for me.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, feeling angry is normal,
Right.
but then what?
Yeah,
Does the book give specific tips on how to do that harnessing thing?
it does. One thing he emphasizes is
Right.
identifying your personal anger triggers
Mm-hmm.
those specific situations or people
Yeah.
that tend to set you off.
Right.
Once you're aware of them,
Okay.
you can start to develop strategies for managing your reactions.
Oh, okay.
So, for example, if you know that traffic jams make you furious,
Oh.
maybe you start listening to calming music or podcasts during your commute.
That's a really practical way to apply it.
Yeah.
So it's almost like turning anger into a signal.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, there's something here I need to pay attention to, but I'm going to handle it in a way that doesn't hurt myself or others.
Exactly.
All right.
And it's not just about managing your reactions in the moment.
Okay.
It's about addressing the root causes of your anger, too.
Mm-hmm.
Are you holding on to resentment?
Yeah.
Do you need to set healthier boundaries?
Right.
Those are the kinds of questions the book encourages you to explore.
That's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about anger as a type of fuel,
Mm-hmm.
albeit one that needs careful handling.
Right?
What about courage?
Yeah.
I remember this amazing quote from the book.
Okay.
Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Mamfi really challenges that typical brave hero stereotype.
Yeah.
He uses the story of Naboth's vineyard from the Bible
Oh,
to illustrate this point.
okay.
It's about a man who refuses to give up his land to the king,
Right.
even though it puts him in grave danger.
It's interesting that you bring up that story.
Yeah.
Because from what I remember, Naboth ends up getting killed for standing his ground.
Right.
So is the book saying that courage always means fighting back,
That's a good question.
even if it costs you your life?
That's where discernment comes in.
Okay.
Mamfi argues that true courage isn't just about blindly facing danger.
Yeah.
It's about choosing your battles wisely and knowing when to stand firm
Mm-hmm.
and when to take a different approach.
Oh.
Sometimes the bravest choice might be to walk away from a fight,
Yeah.
especially if the potential consequences are devastating.
I see what you mean. There's a difference between recklessness and true courage.
Yeah.
It's about assessing the situation,
Mm.
weighing the risks,
Right.
and then acting in a way that aligns with your values.
Precisely. And even in situations where you choose to walk away,
Mm-hmm.
it still takes courage to overcome that fear
Right.
of what others might think
Yeah.
or the potential backlash you might face.
Yeah.
It's about finding that inner strength to do what you believe is right, even when it's difficult.
This is making me think about all those times I've stayed silent when I knew I should have spoken up
Mm.
or avoided conflict when I should have set a boundary.
Right.
Maybe those weren't acts of cowardice, but
Right.
missed opportunities for a different kind of courage.
Yeah, it's a great insight, and I think that's exactly the kind of
Yeah.
self-reflection that this book encourages.
Right.
It's about examining your own patterns and
Yeah.
asking yourself,
Hmm.
am I letting fear dictate my choices? Or am I making decisions based on what I truly believe?
Okay. So we've got anger that needs to be channeled
Right.
and courage that requires discernment.
Mm-hmm.
What about faith?
Yeah,
That feels like the ultimate fuel in this whole race analogy.
absolutely. Manfi talks about faith as the engine that propels you forward. You know, that belief in something beyond yourself
Mm-hmm.
that gives you the strength to keep going when things get tough.
Right.
He draws a lot of inspiration from the Hall of Faith of the Bible, Hebrews chapter 11,
Mm-hmm.
which tells the stories of men and women who achieved extraordinary things through their faith.
But it's not just about biblical miracles, right? I remember the book saying that faith applies to everyday goals, too.
Yeah.
Not just the move mountains kind of stuff.
Exactly. It's about believing in your own potential
Yeah.
and trusting that even when you can't see the entire path,
Mm-hmm.
you have the ability to overcome obstacles
Mm-hmm.
and achieve your dreams.
Yeah.
Whether it's launching a business or writing a book
Yeah.
or overcoming a personal challenge.
Yeah.
Faith is that spark that ignites action
Okay.
and fuels perseverance.
So it's not about sitting back and waiting for things to happen.
Right.
It's about taking that leap of faith
Yeah.
and trusting that you'll figure it out along the way.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see how these different types of fuel work together.
Yeah.
You need the courage to act on your faith,
Hmm.
the wisdom to channel your anger, and the belief in yourself to keep moving forward.
That's a great observation. And that brings us to another key theme
Okay.
that Manfi explores,
Mm.
attitude. He
Okay.
uses the parable of the talents,
Mm,
which is a story about a master
right.
who entrusts his servants with different amounts of money.
Oh, right. The ones who invest their money wisely are rewarded.
Yeah.
And the one who buries his talent out of fear is punished.
Right.
It's a powerful illustration of how our attitude towards our gifts and opportunities shapes our outcomes.
Yeah.
But how does the book connect that to this whole idea of fueling the race?
It's all about maximizing your potential.
Okay.
The book argues that you've been given, unique talents and abilities,
Right.
and it's your responsibility to cultivate them
Yeah.
and use them to make a positive impact on the world.
Okay.
Are you approaching your work, your relationships, and your life in general with a growth mindset?
Yeah.
Or are you letting fear and complacency hold you back?
That's a really thought-provoking question. It's like,
Yes.
okay, if faith is the engine,
Mm-hmm.
then a positive attitude is the steering wheel,
Right.
guiding you towards your goals and helping you navigate the inevitable obstacles along the way.
Exactly. And it's not about being happy-go-lucky all the time.
Right.
It's about choosing to focus on the good even when things are difficult
Mm-hmm.
and believing that you have the power to shape your own destiny.
So we've got anger, courage, faith, attitude. It's like building a whole toolkit for navigating this crazy race of life.
Right.
Are there any other fuel types we should unpack before moving on?
There are a few more intriguing concepts that we need to explore,
Okay.
including this fascinating idea of unintentional release of blessing.
Okay.
But I think we should save that for the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
It deserves its own dedicated space.